Kids, stories, and more is here, so let's all gather near. Art and cooking, movement too, reading, science, all for you. Jump and shout and cheer, hooray! Kids, stories, and more is here today.
Hi, boys and girls. Welcome to Kids Stories and More with D Nice. Today, I have a really special story to read with you, one of my favorites. And it's a true story written by this woman right here. A true story means nonfiction. Can you say nonfiction with me? Nonfiction. It's real. And it's about two main characters, Maurice and Laura, and their friendship. I want to show you what they look like. These are real people. Here we have Maurice when he was 11 years old and he first met Laura, the writer, the author of our book. And this is them today. 35 years later, they're still BFF. And we're going to find out how this invisible thread kept them together for all these years and forever, because they are going to be friends always. Here we go. This is a nice story for Miss D Nice to read. An Invisible Thread by Laura Schroff. My name is Maurice, and I have a friend named Laura. Some people don't understand how we can be friends because we're so different, but we're great friends. They're BFFs. That's Maurice. I met Laura one day when I was very hungry. We didn't have any food at home, and I hadn't eaten anything in 2 days. So I was standing on the streets of New York City, and I was hoping somebody would help me. A lot of people walked right past me and acted like I was invisible. Then Laura walked by. "Excuse me, lady, do you have any spare change?" I asked her. "I'm hungry." At first, Laura said no. Then she looked at me funny. Then she said, "If you're hungry, can I take you to get something to eat?" I wasn't sure if I should say yes, but then my stomach growled and said, "You're hungry. We're hungry down here. You better say yes." So I told Laura I would go to lunch with her. We went to McDonald's, and I had a cheeseburger and fries and a chocolate milkshake. My stomach and I were both so happy. Laura could tell I needed a friend and was hungry a lot. So she took me to dinner the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that too. We had dinner together every Monday night. That's how we became friends. At one of our dinners, when it was getting cold outside, Laura asked me what my plans were for Christmas. "Nothing," I said. "Nothing?" she asked. "Don't you celebrate Christmas?" "I know about it," I said, "but we don't have any money for toys and things like that. We've never celebrated Christmas." Laura looked so surprised. I told Laura about my family. I had 2 sisters, a mother and a grandmother, but we didn't have a home. We lived in a small room in a place called a shelter hotel. My mother was sick a lot. "Have you ever received a Christmas gift?" Laura asked. "Only once," I said. "Last Christmas, I went to a holiday party at the Salvation Army, a place that helps feed people. All the kids there could pick out a gift of their very own. A man pointed to a big box of toys and told me I could choose one. I picked out a white teddy bear with a little red heart. It was soft, and sometimes at night when I held it, it made me feel safe. That's the only Christmas gift I have ever gotten," I said. Laura seemed sad, and then she looked like she had an idea. "Maurice, Would you like to spend Christmas with my family and me? I'd seen what Christmas was like for a lot of people on TV. It looked like so much fun. Of course, you bet I would. I could hardly wait. The next week, I went with Laura to pick out a Christmas tree for the first time. It was so big we almost couldn't carry it back to her apartment. And we had to stop a few times, but we didn't give up and we made it. We decorated the tree at Laura's apartment. Laura showed me how to hang the ornaments, the tinsel, and the lights too. Then we baked cookies and had hot cocoa. Baking cookies was one of my favorite things to do on Monday nights. They were always delicious and made the apartment smell so good. Then we just sat and looked at the tree all lit up and listened to Christmas carols. It was just like I had seen on TV. Maurice, I want you to make a Christmas list so I can give it to Santa, Laura said as she was finishing eating the cookies. You mean I write it down and Santa brings it? I asked. That couldn't be true. Well, not everything, said Laura, laughing, but he tries his best. I couldn't believe it, but I wrote my list and put on it a lot of things I needed, like a new jacket, scarf, warm gloves. And then at the very top, I wrote what I wanted the most of all, a remote control race car. I hoped Laura was right about Santa trying to bring me a lot of things on this list. Still, I wasn't sure how Santa would find me. On Christmas Eve, Laura invited me to her apartment again. Her sister Nancy was there too. This time there was a whole bunch of colorful boxes under the tree with bows on them. It was amazing. It looks like this red one is for you, said Laura, and you can open it tonight. It's from me. I picked up the box, but I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I looked at Laura, who told me to take off the paper to see what was inside. Oh, I had never had a wrap present before. I tore off the wrapping paper, and it was exactly what I wanted, a remote control race car. That night we had dinner, milk, and cookies, and I got to play with my new car and dunk my cookies in my milk. It was the best Christmas Eve I'd ever had. On Christmas Day, I went with Laura and Nancy to their sister's family's house outside of New York City. I had been there before, but I still couldn't believe how big it was. The yard looked like a whole park to me, covered with snow. I got to see Laura's father, Nunzi, and her brothers, Frank and Stephen, and her sister, Annette, and Annette's husband, Bruce, and their kids, Colette, Derek, and Brooke. Derek was about my age. I brought my new race car with me so Derek and I could play together. And then I saw their Christmas tree. It was even bigger than Laura's tree. And underneath there was 1,000,000 colorful boxes all wrapped up. I thought, this has to be the luckiest family in the world. We all sat down for Christmas dinner. Annette said grace. Dear God, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings you have given us. And we thank you for letting us spend this Christmas with our new friend, Maurice. Oh. Then we had dinner. We had a big roast and a ham and mashed potatoes and green beans and corn and warm rolls. And that wasn't even everything. I had never seen so much food in my life. But the food wasn't even the best part. The best part was how everyone sat around the big dinner table and talked and laughed, and had so much fun just being together. It was nice and warm, and everyone was happy. I had never seen that many happy people before. I'd hope someday I could have a family like that one too. After dinner, we all sat around the Christmas tree so everyone could open their presents. Colette got a jewelry box. Derek got a basketball. Brooke got a beautiful doll. They got a lot of other presents. It was so much fun watching. Then Annette said, "Maurice, what are you waiting for? You have Christmas presents too." I couldn't believe it. Santa knew where to deliver my presents. I found a red box with my name on it. But then there was a green box with my name and a silver and gold one too, all for me to open. I got a winter jacket, a pair of sneakers, a warm scarf, gloves, and even my very own basketball, just like Derek. There was so much wrapping paper on the floor from all the presents that I almost couldn't even see my legs or feet. Later that night, we said goodbye, and Laura drove me home. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep because my stomach was full, and my brain was full, and my heart was full too. When we got back to Laura's house, I asked her if I could leave my presents here. I was a little worried that if I took them back to the shelter hotel, they may get lost or worse. "Of course," said Laura. "They will be here so you can play with them anytime you visit." I carefully left the remote control car and basketball, but I took my jacket, scarf, sneakers, and gloves. But I also left something else. Laura walked me home. "Thank you for giving me my first ever real Christmas," I said. "It was very special to me." "No, Maurice," said Laura. "Thank you for making my Christmas so special and spending it with me." Then she gave me a great big hug. I waved goodbye as I walked up the steps, and Laura watched to make sure I got inside safely. I carried a bag of food for my mother, sisters, and grandmother so that they could have a taste of Christmas too. I wanted to share whatever I had with them. When Laura got back to her apartment, she noticed I had left something under the Christmas tree. I thought we opened all the presents," she said out loud, puzzled. But there was one more, just for her. It wasn't in a box and it wasn't wrapped. It was just tucked under the tree, but it was still a Christmas present. It was the only thing I had to give her. My white teddy bear with the little red heart. "Merry Christmas," I wrote to Laura on a piece of paper. "Thank you for being my friend." That night I went to sleep all tingling and feeling good. I felt happy and full. I thought about my wonderful Christmas and what I loved the most. I didn't love the presents the most, although I loved them very much. I didn't love the food the most, although I loved that too. What I loved the most was my new friends sitting around the big dining room table, laughing and joking and having fun just being together. I thought about how when I get older, I wanted to have a family too and sit around the big dining room table with all my kids and laugh and talk and have a lot of special Christmases together. Just before I drifted off to sleep, I looked outside and saw a silver moon in the sky. It seemed like it was making the whole city glow and twinkle, just like I felt. And I thought, this was the best Christmas ever. Laura sat in front of her Christmas tree, holding her new white teddy bear. Then she looked out her window and saw the same glowing, sparkly moon in the sky. She felt the warm glow too, and she thought this was the best Christmas ever. The end.